Welcome back to Where Bluebirds Walk. Adam and many other fans say the next post they want to see from Cardiff City is the corner flag posts. Time to go, I'm afraid. Just not good enough. To review the latest Cardiff defeats, we've got James and Estwin with us. Welcome to Where Bluebirds Walk. It is the fastest and most comprehensive review of all Cardiff City content on the internet. Roll the titles. Welcome back, James, and welcome to Web Bluebirds Work to Eston as well. Before we get into this, please do subscribe to the channel. We know there's lots of Cardiff content you could follow and watch. Also subscribe to the podcast on Spotify as well, and you can listen to this on your way to work rather than watching it. James, the theme of this week is really going to be focused on one person and one issue. So I'll come straight out and ask you, is it time for Bulut to go?
It's so difficult because, it's 5 games in, but I can't also ignore the fact that this form has carried on from the back end of last season. I said that he'd get this next set of games now to sort of see where we're at. Obviously, the season we've sort of started with has been very poor. The performances have been poor. I know the calibre of opponent, is a good quality with Sunderland and Burnley. But it's the manner of the defeats and the actual lack of performance, I would say. And it's just, at the moment, it's not good enough. And, I think 1 goal scored, 9 or 10 conceded. Yeah, it's not good.
Eston, same question to you then. Would you be sacking him this week?
It's a tough one to start with, isn't it?
It is.
I've always been a big backer of Bulut since day one, really. And up until this week, I've sort of defended him and believed that he should be the manager. But this one, in my opinion, was the worst performance yet, Derby away. And, I just think that he should go now, really.
It won't surprise you both to learn, I'm sure you've read it already, that Cardiff City Twitter went in a meltdown at 5 o'clock on Saturday following the final whistle at Derby. Had enough. The fans, I think, have been patient enough, I think. I mean, James, you said it there, didn't you? This is a continuation of some of the dire performances that we saw at the end of last season. Let's have a look at some other comments that people have said. Mikey is very similar to you, Eston. He says, I've backed Erol from day one, but he now has to go, in my opinion. He isn't going to be turning this around. I've absolutely no idea what we do in training in, day out. There's been zero improvement from last season, and the lack of goal threat reminds me of 2 seasons ago, when, of course, you did flirt with relegation. James, is it as cut and dry as that? The performances are poor, and you don't look like scoring in any games. 1 point from 5, a solitary away goal at Swansea. What's he got to do to change this? He's just had 2 weeks with most of these players.
I mean, the thing is, at the back end of last season, he had the benefit of the doubt because, he sort of come in, he had the transfer window, but we were still embargoed at the start of last season. We finished, in a position 12th, so it's not too bad last season when you look at the table, but most of our goals come through set pieces. This season, we've seemed to have sort of lost that threat, so we're not scoring it as it is anyway. He's been given the transfer window to bring in the players that he wanted, like El Ghazi, and the players that obviously him and the board were sort of drawn up the list. He's been given enough time through pre-season with these players, and also as well with to sort of bed in his ideas. But yeah, it's just not good enough, and it is on him, because they're the ones that train day in, day out, and there's no improvement.
Eston, have you seen any improvement from the first game, the Sunderland game? We said we'd write that off because it was the first game of the season, but from Sunderland to Derby, have we seen them go backwards?
Yeah, it's been backwards really rather than forwards. Because against Sunderland, I actually thought we played quite well. I was at that game, and I came away thinking we could have got a result there.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was just no real clear-cut chances for us, and all the possession was in our own half, not really making inroads into Derby's half at all. The best chance from a corner, which is very familiar because we're the set-piece kings.
Yeah.
Not much threat going forward though at all.
Let's have a look at some other takes. Thanks for Eston. This is Perry's view of it. I can accept losing, but barely putting a scratch on a Paul Warne side whilst persisting with 2 defensive midfielders is shameful. Peter says losing to a newly promoted side with 4 of our rejects in, that is just embarrassing. 1 goal scored, 11 conceded. That's poor. Get rid. And the Derby fans were rubbing it in because there was a claim, I think, that Ebbo Adams was your 8th choice midfielder, and that's why he was got rid of. Yeah, that Derby side does have a lot of Cardiff rejects in, James, isn't it? And yet you look like the team that just come up.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, you can have great players, you can have good players, but if they're not getting coached in the right way, then you're not going to do much with it. And I don't think that we are getting coached in the right way. We're a very negative team on the ball. Erol Bulut promised a good style of play this season with the new players. We haven't seen that at all. This is on him now to sort out. I said to you, I think it was last week, the week before, I think he's got this next set of games now. To be honest, Leeds at home next weekend now, I see that as a write-off. I don't think we will win that. And Holloway is, again, another tough game. I think possibly them two looking towards the Bristol and the Plymouth game, you lose against Plymouth, Roman. That's enough said, to be honest.
Okay. Eston, do you give him these next set of games to the next international break then, or not?
I mean, I would, because I think they're quite hard games anyway. So, if he can pick up results in those block of games, then maybe he keeps his place.
Okay. All right. What do you think? Put it in the comments below. If he was to go, of course, and we're recording this on Sunday night, we may already, by the time we release this, we might have already had the picture of the corner flags. Is there any names that either of you two would want in?
Personally, myself, obviously, it all depends on budgets and all that. But Liam Rossinia, Championship manager, a bit of experience, and can't be any worse than what we're watching at the moment.
Okay, Eston, any names floating for you?
I've seen on Twitter people talking about Nathan Jones. Okay. Not that I want him, because I want someone more possession based. Okay. But all
right, okay,
yeah, he'll be a name up there in the favourites for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Charlton fans won't be too happy with that. Okay, then let's have a look at left backs. Every week on here, we're reviewing one area of the Cardiff City team. We've already done goalkeepers, we've done central defenders. So, James, we've spoken all year last year about the wonders of Perry NG, and we've even said it sometimes. We think you have the best left back in the Championship. How's he done this season?
So, I mean, compared to last season, he's definitely gone off the boil a bit. Obviously, last season he was, our top scorer, I think, at the end of the season with 7 goals and, good free kicks. But he's sort of seemed a lot quieter towards the start of this season. Joel Bagan, still quite young, is a player there to potentially grow into that sort of left back rubble in the next season or so. And then Jamalu Collins, I'm not 100% a fan of him. I just think that he's a bit negative with the ball. He's always looking sort of backwards, sideways. Don't know how much that is down towards sort of the whole system that we play, but he's not played this season. And we've sort of had Callum O'Dowda, which is our left mid, sort of fill in for most of it.
Esther, were you surprised that no offers came in for Perry NG over the summer?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
I
How much is he worth, do you reckon?
Premier League interest, if I'm honest.
Yeah. How much is he worth, do you reckon?
To us, a lot more. Because he's one of our best players. I'd say about 10 million.
Yeah, if you go along with that, James?
I disagree a bit with that. I'd say more towards the £3 to £4 million mark, realistically, for
Really?
a sort of, personally, like.
Okay. In terms of left backs, this is not an area of concern, is it? Unless NG gets an injury. Do you think you've got the good depth there? You mentioned obviously young players. James, is the depth there in this position?
Not really. I mean, obviously Joel Bacon, again, he's still quite young. I think he'd be all right for a game or two, but as an out-and-out left-back, at the moment, Callum O'Dowd is playing it, and obviously Perry NG's sort of main position is like right-back. But yeah, obviously Callum O'Dowd is who we're using at the moment. I would like to see the left-back come in the summer. We had that to Sonda, but he's injured from the end of last season.
Okay. All right, then. So Leeds next, then. Eston, do you give yourselves any chances? Obviously, there's going to be a great Solbamba tribute we hear at the start of this game, having been played for both clubs, which will be great to see. But once the whistle blows, do you give yourselves any hope?
I see it as a free hit, to be honest. I'm not expecting much. I mean, Cardiff Leeds has always been a historical game, hasn't it? So you never know.
Yeah.
We always seem to give them a good game, but no, not really.
Yeah, you last beat them 2020 in the pandemic, and it was everything was closed. You lost 3-0 in the same fixture this June. Okay. Finally, then, August is now gone, so it's time to ask for your player of the season. But we do things differently here on Where Bluebirds Walk. That's already been awarded, so we're asking you for your unsung player of the season. Who's the player that hasn't had their flowers? Who's not in the spotlight but has just gone about and done their business and has impressed? James?
Honestly, from this season at the moment, personally, I can't name anyone. I hate to say it, but none of them deserve it at the moment. I think personally, majority of the performances have been a load of rubbish. But I just can't award unsung hero to anyone.
Eston?
I've got an idea. I've thought about this one a lot. I think Ruben Colwell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been the standout, I'd say, of a pretty poor season so far.
Okay. Yeah, it's unfair, I suppose, to ask who's been the best player in an awful set of games. Look, things can only get better after Leeds, I think. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. If you're a Cardiff fan and haven't yet subscribed, please do so. We love reading your comments. And we'll be back next week where we look at right backs, and also we are reviewing the game against Leeds. Hopefully, it's not a cricket score, but potentially it could be. Cheers, James. Cheers, Eston, and we'll see you all next week.